Morning student, today's lesson that is chapter 2 microorganisms, friend and foes. Already you have started this chapter, already we are in useful microorganisms. There are also harmful microorganisms as well as useful microorganisms. So already you studied the useful microorganisms, the microorganisms which helps in making of curd and bread. Already you have discussed. And also there are certain microorganisms, they are used for production of product for a large scale, for large mass scale. Okay, so those microorganisms are used for preparing some product for in a large scale. So they are used as a commercial use of microorganisms. And certain microorganisms are also used as a medicinal use, such as antibiotics. Already you have studied antibiotics. Antibiotics are those microorganisms which kills or destroy the harmful or disease causing microorganisms. Those are known as antibiotics. Already you studied. So this three already you studied. Then we will study today vaccine, increasing soil fertility and cleaning the environment. So vaccine we will study. In medicinal use of microorganisms, we study certain type of antibiotics, that is medicine, that is streptomycin, tetracycline and erythromycin. These are the antibiotics which can be injected in any person's body and directly the person can cure from the diseases. That is directly used. These antibiotics we can directly use for curing any diseases. But there are certain diseases which cannot be cured. So we can prevent it. Those diseases can be prevented, but you cannot cure. So this vaccine has been invented. Therefore, this vaccine has been invented to prevent those diseases, or we can protect it from diseases. Got it now? But these antibiotics can be directly taken by our body by going to doctors. The doctors will provide some antibiotics which can be directly injected to your body, and you can cure from that diseases. But certain diseases are there that cannot be cured. It can be prevented. So now we'll discuss about vaccine. As you know, this vaccine. So the scientist called Edward Jenner in 1798. This scientist, he invented a vaccination process. He is the first person to invent. In 1798 he invented, Edward Jenner, vaccination. This vaccine can be injected to any body before the person is caused by any diseases. They introduce this vaccine in a healthy person in order to prevent those diseases in future. So this cannot be directly taken by our body. Got it now? Likewise in antibiotics. But this vaccine will prevent from diseases. Certain diseases are there we cannot even cure. Got it now? So this scientist invented vaccination process. Got it now? So we'll study how our mechanism we fight against diseases, how our body fights against disease. We'll study little bit mechanism. Suppose this is our body. Got it now? So certain microorganisms are there which is available in air, water. So many microorganisms, they're present everywhere. So if you find one microorganism outside, this is foreign particles outside, foreign particles, that is microorganisms. These foreign microorganisms can enter into our body in many ways. Easily it can enter into our body. How? While you drink water, this water contains several microorganisms. You cannot assume that water doesn't contain any microorganisms. Suppose you are drinking purified water. In that case, some microorganisms may present. But if you are drinking outside, going outside in or relative house, you are drinking unpurified water. The water may contain some microorganisms. So while eating fruits, vegetables, raw foods, if you are eating, there also it contains some microorganisms. They can also enter into our body easily. Also, you will find some air, the air you breathe, that air also contains some microorganisms. Through air also, if these microorganisms which are entering into our body, that may all not be a useful microorganisms, some may harmful to our body. How these microorganisms which are entering into our body, they are not causing any problem, because in our body there are also some microorganisms, certain microorganisms which can fight those microorganisms are invaded in our body. Invaded microorganisms are defended by our microorganisms, that we can say immune system. So our in our body there are fighters, microorganisms, certain microorganisms, they are fighters. Those microorganisms are known as what? Antibodies. These antibodies will fight against any disease, any microorganisms which are entering into our body. So these microorganisms are known as antigen. What is called? Antigen. These are called antigen. Those microorganisms which are outside of our body, which are entering into our body. And those microorganisms which are present in our body, which will defend against any diseases or any microorganisms, they are known as what? Antibodies. So all the time they cannot defend, they cannot fight. Sometimes they fail. If they fail on defending the microorganisms or microorganisms which are entering into our body against any antigens, that time we feel sick. We'll fall sick. So in that case, what do you have to do? In that case, they introduce this vaccine. If our body antibodies are failed to fight or defend against disease-causing microorganisms, that is antigens, then in that case they are given as a vaccine. So how this vaccine works, we'll talk about. We'll talk about how this vaccine works. This vaccine, they will take microorganisms which are dead and weakened. What is that? These microorganisms, this vaccine contains some certain microorganisms which are very weak and they are dead. These microorganisms are injected into our body, in a healthy body. These are injected. Therefore, according to this behavior, according to these microorganisms, our body will produce some antibodies according to the suitable of these microorganisms to fight against these dead and weakened microorganisms. So in that case, our body will produce some microorganisms which will fight against this dead and weakened microorganisms. So that antibodies which are produced in our body to fight against dead and weakened microorganisms, that antibodies will stay forever, or you can say for several days, several years, or even it can stay lifetime. So if new certain microorganisms, same type of microorganisms, if they enter into our body, then our antibodies will activate and they will fight. What happens? When the antigens enter into our body, these antibodies will bind them and they will make inactive. They will not carry out their metabolism. to multiply. So they will bound and they will make them inactive. So in that case, in vaccine they will introduce dead and weakened microorganisms through that injection, and they will inject it into our body. So this dead and weakened microorganisms, similar to these microorganisms, our body will produce some antibodies which can fight these diseases, these dead and weakened microorganisms. So that antibodies which are produced, which has been produced, that can stay for longer period of time, or we can say even forever. So similar microorganisms, when again enters into our body, then it can defend. So this is how this vaccine works in our body. So if you have in your childhood, you have given various injection from the birth of a child, from 0 years to till 5 years, in every month or every 6 days, or 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 4 year, 5 years. Till that you will be given some vaccine. Why these are? Because certain diseases are there, like tuberculosis, hepatitis, measles, mumps, then typhoid, cholera. So these certain diseases cannot be cured. They can be prevented. Got it now? They can be prevented. So such kind of diseases can be prevented by vaccination. Such kind of diseases can be prevented by vaccination. So therefore, in childhood, you are given an injection in every period of time. In a particular period of time, you are given a vaccination. Also, you will find in newspaper or TV or in several articles, you will find there is a pulse polio program, vaccination program, or we can oral polio vaccination program that has been conducted in every villages, in every cities, for the children from 0 years to 5 years. So they can be given a vaccination so that they can be protected from these dreadful diseases or dreadful microorganisms which cause several diseases which cannot be cured. They can be prevented. Before causing that diseases, these injections are given, these vaccines are given so that it can be prevented. But if you see antibiotics, after you are causing some diseases, the antibiotics are injected directly into our body. In this case, vaccines are given before causing any diseases, so it can be prevented. Got it now? So this is how the vaccine works in our body. So now we'll study the increasing soil fertility, how microorganisms helps in increasing soil fertility. Increasing soil fertility. Increasing soil fertility. You have seen certain microorganisms, how they increase soil fertility. Already you have a replenishment of the soil. Got it now? Replenishment in the soil, you are studying in 7th class. Already increasing soil, but how these microorganisms helps in increasing the soil fertility. How this fertility of the soil can be increased. These microorganisms help us. So what happens if you throw any waste or any waste product, or if any animals died, dead bodies are thrown outside. These dead bodies are eaten by some microorganisms. So we as well know all materials are composed of compounds. They're made of compounds. These are break down and made into helmets. They're made into helmets. Small helmets. They're broken down. This process is known as decomposition. What is known as decomposition. Decomposition. So what is decomposition? Decomposition is a process in which the compound of a material or a compound of any organic matter are broken down into simpler substances, or you can say elements. Then individual elements they are broken down. So who is doing this? Who is carrying out this process, that is decomposition? Who is decomposing these materials? These are done by organisms. These are done by microorganisms. While doing this decomposition process, these microorganisms will release certain gas. During the respiration, they will heat this compound, whatever the requirement, and during that process, they also release some certain gases which is useful for the plants and animals as well human beings. They will release certain gas, and also they will add some fertility to the soil. These dead bodies will act as a manure. They will use as a manure. If you see any dead bodies thrown outside, if the dead bodies are buried in the soil, you will not find after several days. If you go and find out the dead body, you will not find. They will be disappear. They will mix in the soil, because these microorganisms helps in decomposition of that dead body. This is how the microorganisms also carry out this decomposition process in order to increase the fertility of the soil. Got it? So in this way, so if you have many waste in your kitchen, like leftover food or filled vegetables, filled fruit, so certain materials are there which cannot be decomposed, or we cannot be mixed in the soil. There are two categories. That is biodegradable another one is non-biodegradable. This biodegradable are those organic matter. They are also called as organic matter. Organic matter, inorganic. This organic matter consists of fruits and vegetables. Organic fill banana, fill fruits, or leftover foods. These are called biodegradable. They can be easily mixed in the soil. If you thrown outside, it will get stinking. If it is not decomposed in the soil, then it may cause many diseases. Similarly, if you talk about non-biodegradable, those inorganic matter which cannot be decomposed, or which cannot be decomposed or eaten by the microorganisms, those products or matter are known as non-biodegradable products, such as plastics cannot be decomposed, or else glass cannot be decomposed, or else what? Plastic, glass, and certain metals like aluminum can. They cannot be decomposed, so they are known as inorganic matter which cannot be decomposed by microorganisms. So in this way, the microorganisms helps in this organic matters can be decomposed with the help of microorganisms and will add some fertility to the soil. Got it now? In other way, also we'll study. Also, they are in other way, they also helping us to cleaning the environment. They are also cleaning the environment. If you are throwing outside waste, if that is not decomposed, that will remain as it is, and it will give stinky smell, and also it will cause some diseases. So if you throw dead bodies, if that is not decomposed, so this earth will fill with dead bodies. So these dead bodies can cause also diseases. So these organisms will help of decomposing and mixing the soil. Therefore, the environment will be cleaner environment. They will help. These microorganisms are helping in cleaning the environment. What it? So next, also increases soil fertility. Also, we have discussed. Also, one thing we have to discuss. That is, there is certain microorganisms, unique creatures of these microorganisms, that is known as blue-green algae, and other is like cyanobacteria. We can say rhizobium bacteria. What happens? This blue-green algae or rhizobium bacteria, they will fix nitrogen fixation. They will fix nitrogen gas. The animals, these plants require nitrogenous compound. They require nitrogenous. So in usually farmers, they add urea, ammonia to the soil, to get nitrogen. But in many cases, these bacteria, these microorganisms, they will fix nitrogen gas. So this is a soil. This is a plant. So this air contains 78% of nitrogen. So this gas, nitrogen gas, can be fixed in the soil with the help of rhizobium bacteria. This rhizobium bacteria, they will fix this nitrogen gas and convert it into a nitrogenous salt or soil nitrogen, that is nitrogenous compound, which can be utilized by this plant. So this is how, in alternate method, this nitrogen cannot be converted into a nitrogenous compound. There is no other way. But this certain microorganisms, which also help increase the fertility of the soil by fixing nitrogenous gas into a nitrogenous compound, which can be used as a part of nutrients by the plant. So in other way, there is a way in rainy season, there is lightning. You heard about any lightning? You see in the sky, there is lightning before it's going to rain. During that lightning, the light will pass through the air. So during that passage of light through the air, there it will convert nitrogen into a nitrogenous compound. But that is very limited, and it will not cause often time. So these microorganisms fix nitrogenous gas into a nitrogenous compound. That's how they increase the soil fertility. Also, we will talk about the cleaning the environment. They decompose some dead animals and waste product, and they will decompose, and then it will mix in the soil, and also similarly it will increase the fertility of the soil. This is how the microorganisms are useful in our day-to-day life. In every way, they are very useful. And also we'll study next how microorganisms that are harmful to us. Thank you.